Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all figuring out together how to peace out. We're all learning together. It's been a almost 5-year journey. It's going to be 5 years in March, right? That we started this 5 years ago, 2020. Right? What a memorable year that was, right? What a memorable course that has been, and changed the course of so many different things, right? Yeah. Well, one of those things was that we began doing peace out together every morning. Just reminding ourselves, that's the whole thing, is just to remind ourselves that we can peace out because God's got us, that He's got us in His hand. And I want to start today with a question. The question is this. You could take a second. It's kind of half rhetorical. Okay. Well, what is bigger than God? What is bigger than God? Think about it. Because you're not going to come up with anything, right? We know nothing's bigger than God. We know that God is bigger than, there's an old song you say, God's bigger than all my problems, bigger than anything, right? We know, we sing it. He's got the whole world in His hands, so He's got to be big. We know He's big. But sometimes the enemy likes to use a magnifying glass and try to make things look bigger than they are. Specifically, bigger than what God can handle. That's the general thought I'm taking this morning on this devotion, because after spending yesterday morning in Romans 5, and reading this morning, I got prepared for my first trip to Pakistan this week for tomorrow. And I was preparing that, and then after I got done with that, I thought, I'm going to go back to that. And so I went back and read it. It's okay. You know what? It's better to read 3 verses, the same 3 verses every day for a week or a month or a year till you get them, than to just read for the sake of reading. Now, I'm not saying don't read. I'm going to put my plug in for reading and studying the Word, right? Because that's how we put it in our heart. That's how we load our spiritual weapon to fight against the enemy. We have scriptures when it says we're not worth anything. We go, I was worth it for Jesus. That's worth something. Matter of fact, that's back in Romans 5 and 8 here also. But anyway, so I'm going to say read every day, read and study it, as much as you can. It's good to do, but it's better to read a verse and get it and understand it and make it a part of you than it is to read the whole Bible and not get any of it, right? You're going to eventually get it. God's going to watch over His word, so that's a good thing. So it's always good to read, but it's also good sometimes to just slow down and let it sink into these thick heads of ours that God's got us covered. So I was actually reading, my glasses. Oh, well, I was actually reading in Romans. I went through 5 and all over, and I got over in 8, and I got down to verse 31. And it says, what can we say about such wonderful things? If God is for us, who can ever be against us? What in the world could fight us that God couldn't handle, is how I want to rephrase that. If God is for us, and then the if is not an if, since God is for us, since He, as a matter of fact, He goes on to say, since God did not even spare His own Son, but gave Him up for us, won't God, who gave us Christ, give us everything else? Why, if He didn't withhold His own Son and let Jesus pay that price for us, what on earth would He be withholding that would be bigger and better than that? Absolutely nothing, right? So if God is for us, who or what can be against us? See, and what happens is we get out here and we start we're living life, right? And things start just coming at us. As believers, and even unbelievers too, for that matter, right? But life brings stuff. Life presents situations. I gleeked. Sorry. Life presents situations. And we begin to let fear can start to creep in. Doubt comes knocking on our heart's door. Like, are you really going to believe now? Is God going to deliver you out of this? Is He going to help you? Is He this? Is He that? Depending on your circumstances. And then the enemy is there to hold this big magnifying glass up to say, see, this is really big. And then our hearts start shaking, and we start going, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I don't know. And we begin to act like, even if we don't think it, because to say, oh, this is bigger than God, immediately our brain filters that out because it knows it's not the truth. but we begin to act like it's bigger than God. Maybe it's just me. Maybe y'all don't ever do that. Maybe it's just something I do, right? And so and the enemy's so quick to hold up a magnifying glass and go, boy, this is really big. God can't, and he is the secret message or the hidden message is God can't handle this. God can't help you. But if God gave us Jesus, what on earth and or heaven, time and eternity would he be withholding from us? If God is for us, who can ever, the big word there, ever be against us? Our circumstances are not bigger than God. Our situations aren't bigger than God. Our fear's not bigger than God. Our doubt that he is even God is not bigger than God. He just has to wait around till we get it. And he is, I believe it's Second Chronicles. I want to say 7:14. That's not right. That's the prayer one. But I believe it's in Second Chronicles, maybe first. It's in the Old Testament. And it says that the eyes of the Lord run to and fro around the earth, looking for someone to trust him so he can show himself strong on their behalf. He's just looking for a heart that goes, hey, God, I need you. And he's there. He's like, what you need, right? He's looking for our hearts to turn toward him. He's looking for us to go, this looks really big, and my doubt is really big, and my fear is really big, and everything is really big, but it's not bigger than God. And in that moment, that's faith in its most elementary state. Just looking at a situation and going, but God's bigger, without an answer, without a solution, without even knowing a promise, without knowing what to do. That second of, but God's bigger, is the seed of faith in your heart. That's all it takes. Isn't that what Jesus said? If you have the faith the size of a seed of mustard, the size of a mustard seed, which is a very small seed, one of the very small seeds in the earth, you can move mountains. So that's that moment that God's looking for. And see, the enemy's over here looking for us to go, wow, this is big. And in our thinking, we go, this is bigger than God. And then he holds that magnifying glass out and goes, yeah, it is. Look at that. Look how big it got. Wait, look, it's huge. He ain't never going to be able to help you out of this. He ain't never going to, or here's what he likes to do for me. You remember what you did in 1964? Plus 4, then that wouldn't count. When you did in 1978, what you did in 1988, 1983, and the underlying message is God's not going to help you. But here's the truth. God helped me before I did that stupid thing, because he sent Jesus. What did we read yesterday? While we were still sinners, he sent his son. He didn't wait for us to get right. He didn't wait for us to get clean. He didn't wait for us to figure it out. He fixed it. And the enemy loves to run in there when we have those questions run through our mind and hold up the magnifying glass to our problems and go, it's got to be bigger than God. But I got to hold this minimizer up and go, no, pretty sure God's still bigger. If God is for us, or since God is for us, what or who could ever be against us? Because he didn't withhold his son. He's definitely not got anything else up there. He's going, I'm just waiting. And you're not going to get it unless, no, he already made the way for us to win every single battle we face. But that don't mean it just goes away, right? What if the analogy I've heard is, you go to, and you're going to win this football game, but you still got to play the game. And when you get to the end of the time runs out, you're going to be at least 1 point ahead, because that's all it takes, right? To win the game. That's a W. 1 point is a W, but you still got to play the game. So we still have to walk through it. But what we have to do is hold the word up to that magnifying glass the devil likes to put up there and say, see how big this is? This is bigger. Your fear is so big, God can't help you. Your doubt is so massive, God can't answer you. Your sin is so horrible, it's massively horrible, that God can't hear you. That's what the enemy says. But I got to hold this up, and this is the minimizer for the magnifier that the enemy has. It says, if God is for me, who can be against me? Who could ever be against me? There's nothing bigger than God. And you can go on and read, if you get a second today, go read Romans 8. It is just a rich chapter. I think I could write a whole devotional just out of Romans 8. And I just might. Don't give me an idea, right? But if you go on down in the chapter here, it goes on and says, what can separate us from God's love? First off, it says, if he gave us Christ before we even messed up, he fixed what we were going to mess up. He fixed it before we broke it. He already planned to make that way back to him. And if he did that, he gave his own son. What would he withhold from us? What would be bigger than that? He's got us. But it goes on to say further in chapter 8, maybe we'll look at it tomorrow, I don't know. Nothing, absolutely nothing can separate us from God's love. God isn't going to stop loving us because we doubt he can help us. He's not going to stop helping us because we doubt he is strong enough. We can have doubt. We can have fear. We might miss out because we forget to look at him because we keep looking at our problem and making it bigger. We may miss out or we may delay it, but it's not on God when we do that. God's got us covered, period. What could be against us? Absolutely nothing. So don't look through the magnifier of your circumstances. Don't look through the magnifying glass of the enemy. Don't look through the magnifier that magnifies the problem, the situation, the fears, the doubt, the confusion, the whatever you're facing today. Hold up the minimizer and go, if God's for me, I think this is going to be bigger than that. God's always going to be bigger, and he's always going to lead us into triumph through Christ. So hold up the minimizer today. Minimize that doubt, minimize that fear, and minimize what the enemy's telling you about the situation, and know that God has already equipped you to win this battle. He's got you, and that's why we can peace out. Peace out. Have a great day. See you again tomorrow.